Jai Ganesh. Hello students. Good morning everybody. Let us learn an interesting story, A Letter to God by G.L. Pandit of class 10 English. And you see that you are in class 10 and you know how to write letters. But have you ever written a letter to God? Or have you heard or seen anyone writing a letter to God? Obviously no. We write letters to our friends and relatives, or official letters to officers like this. But this is a letter to God. That's why an interesting, exciting, and humorous story. A poor farmer, a hardworking farmer, Lencho, wrote a letter to God demanding some money. In this story, we'll see whether he received the answer letter from God, help from God or not. People believe faith can move mountains. So we should faith in God. We should believe in God. Let us discuss some few lines about the writer of the story. G.L. Fontes, full name of G.L. Fontes is Gregorio Lopez Fontes, was a Mexican novelist, poet, and journalist. Fontes started writing at the age of 15 when the Mexican Revolution began. Many of his books are related to the civil conflict. His stories are exciting and humorous. Many of his works are concerned with the oppression of Americans. He was awarded the Nobel Prize for Science and Arts and Science in 1935. Please listen to summary of the story. And Lencho was a hardworking poor farmer. He was an ox of a man. He worked hard in his field. He was a religious man. He had strong belief in God. He lived in a solitary house in the entire valley at the top of a low hill. From here he could see the river, his cornfield dotted with flowers. He was happy to see this, and he looked at the northeast, expecting a downpour or a shower of rain to have a good harvest. And to his prediction, it started saw the mountains of clouds coming from the northeast, and he was extremely happy when it started raining because he would get more crop this year. But his happiness turned to sadness when hail started to rain. Suddenly heavy wind started blowing, and hailstorm continued for an hour. He was completely worried. He was sad at heart. What to do, how to live for that year. There is no hope for them, and only hope for him was the help from. Though he was a hardworking farmer, he knew how to write letters. So he decided to write a letter to God. And started with a letter to God. God, he wrote the letter, God, if you do not help me, my family and I will go hungry this year. I need 100 pesos in order to sow my field again and to live until the crop comes because the hailstones. Expecting or demanding for 100 pesos, he wrote the letter to God, put the letter inside an envelope, and went to the town and dropped in the mailbox. The postman who got the letter, saw the letter, could not stop himself by laughing. So he handed it over to his boss, who was the postmaster. The postmaster also laughed, but he became serious. He turned because he was a amicable man. He was a kind-hearted man. So he decided to help the farmer. He asked his friends, his staff, he gathered some money from them, and he himself also gave part of his salary. And he collected, could not collect 100 pesos, he collected more 70 pesos and put in the envelope, and as he put it in the send it to the in the box, so that the next following Sunday Lencho came to the town expecting to collect from God. And when he got the letter, he was not surprised. But he was disappointed when he counted the money because he got only 70 pesos. Though he wrote a letter to God demanding for 100 pesos, he thought that God could not have make a mistake. It would be the work of the post office employees who had taken it away. So he another letter, got a piece of paper and pen and started writing on the writing table and dropped it in the box. Immediately the postmaster took the letter and started reading. What was the letter? Second letter. God of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest since I need it very much, but do not send it to me through the mail because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks, Lencho. So the postmaster read the letters and became serious. So I think we have read the lesson story. I think you have understood or have an idea about the stories. Please read the story once again and we'll find some difficult or unfamiliar words from the story. First, a crest. Crest means top or the highest part of a hill. Lencho lived in a solitary house on the crest of a low hill. Then valley. Valley means it is a low area between hills or mountains. The picture is given to you, you see, and usually a river comes through that valley and dotted with. Dotted with means scattered over an area. Lencho's field was dotted with flowers. Predict means foretell the future. The meteorologist predicted predict that the weather conditions. And drape means cover. The rain draped the cornfields. Locust means insects which fly in big groups and destroy crops. You know, we are fighting corona. And next the locust problem is there. Now in Africa, they go in so large groups that they destroy the total crop. Solitary means lonely or single. Lencho lived in a solitary house in that entire valley. Upset, disturbed. So when Lencho counted the money and it was 70 pesos, and though he demanded for 100 pesos, he became upset. Conscience and an inner sense of right and wrong. God can see deep in one's conscience. Peso, currency of several Latin American countries. Here, peso is the currency of Mexico. Okay, so let us discuss the comparisons. The object clouds are compared to the huge mountains of clouds. Means quality of a comparison is the mass or hugeness of mountains. Raindrops are compared to new coins. That means comparison is that money that a good crop will bring. Hailstones are compared to frozen pearls. Why? It resembles in brightness of pearls. Locust, a plague of locust. A plague of locust means a plague means an epidemic or a disease that spreads very rapidly and leaves many people dead. Lencho comparison is an ox of a man. Means working like an ox in the fields or hard work, or we can say as strong as a ox. So let us discuss some questions. Where did Lencho live? Lencho lived in a solitary house, the crest of that entire valley. What did he hope for? He hoped for a downpour or a shower of rain to have a good harvest. What happened to Lencho's cornfield? The hailstorm destroyed Lencho's cornfield completely. It covered the hailstones covered Lencho's fields and looked as if covered with salt. Who did he write a letter to? He wrote a letter to God. Why did he write the letter? He wrote the letter to God demanding for 100 pesos to sow his field again and to feed his family. Why could not the postman stop himself by laughing? The postman could not stop himself by laughing because in his career, service career, he had never seen an address to God. Who read the letter? The postmaster read the letter. What did the postmaster do? The postmaster was a fat, amiable person. So he wanted to help. He collected some money from his staff and friends. He also gave part of his salary and he put in the envelope and wrote only the signature God as the signature of God. He gave this to Lencho in order not to shake his faith in God. Was Lencho surprised to find a letter with money in it? No, Lencho was not at all surprised to find a letter with money in it. What was Lencho's reaction after getting the letter? When Lencho counted the money, he was angry. He was disappointed. Why? He counted that he got 70 pesos, though he demanded for 100 pesos. Okay, so let us discuss some short questions usually come in the board exams. Answer the following questions in a word or a phrase from the bracket. Which country does GL Fontis belong to? What did Lencho consider the raindrops? What was that night like for Lencho? How much money did Lencho need? What did Lencho write in the envelope? Who had unblinking faith in God? Lencho, Mexico, to God, 100 pesos, new coins, sorrowful. So, you see, what country does GL Fontis belong to? GL Fontis belong to Mexico. What did Lencho consider the raindrops? Lencho considered the raindrops as new coins. What was that night like for Lencho? The night was sorrowful. How much money did Lencho need? Lencho needed 100 pesos. What did Lencho write in the envelope? To God. Who had unflinching faith in God? Lencho. So let us read some other questions, short questions. Activity 3. Write a single word for the group of words on the bracket given below. a long and a narrow area of land between the hills, a box which is meant for dropping letters, and is a dishonest person, a storm in which hailstones fall, currency of several Latin American countries, friendly and pleasant insects which fly in big drop groups and destroy crops. First question answer easy and answers given, words given: hailstorm, valley, mailbox, locust, amiable, group, and peso. First question let us discuss. A long and narrow area of land between the hills is valley. A box which is meant for dropping letters is mailbox. A dishonest person, crook. A storm in which hailstones fall, hailstorm. Currency of several Latin American countries, peso. Friendly and pleasant, amiable. Insects which fly in big groups and destroy crops, locusts. So let us do the activity 4. Fill in the blanks with appropriate words and phrases from the bracket given below. Lencho lived in a dash house. Nobody likes dash people. The ripe cornfield always promised dash. Lencho compared raindrops with dash. The children ran out to collect dash in the rain. The postmaster stopped with resolution dash. So, what's given? Resolution, dishonest, solitary, frozen pulse, a good harvest, new coins. Discuss one by one. Lencho lived in a solitary house. Nobody likes dishonest people. The ripe cornfield always promised a good harvest. Lencho compared raindrops with new coins. The children ran out to collect frozen pearls in the rain. The postmaster stopped to easy resolution. Let us do the activity 5. Match the words and phrases under column A with column B. Raindrops, hailstones, lencho, GL Funties, peso under A column. Rabi column, new silver coins, a Mexican novelist, new coins, Latin American currency, and ox of a man. So, do it yourself. Check the answer. Raindrops, new coins. Hailstones, new silver coins. Lecho, an ox of a man. GL Fontes, a Mexican novelist. Peso, a Latin American currency. From this story, we know the story. And homework is given. Do the long question answers at home. Answer the following questions in about 50 words. Who was Lencho? Where did he live? How was Lencho's cornfield destroyed? Why did not Lencho's happiness last long? Why did Lencho write a letter to God? Why did the postmaster send money to Lencho? Why did Lencho call the post office employees a bunch of crooks? So, dear friends, what do we learn from this story? Or what is the moral of the story? The letter to God is that the moral of the story, a letter to God is that extreme faith in Almighty God can give you a ray of hope in the even in the darkest times. So we should believe in God. We should have faith in God. Thank you very much. Best of luck